Okay, boys and girls, and in today's class, I'm going to show you why design people actually make a lot of money in the technology world. So there's an idea out there that the only people that are valuable in the technology world are the coders, back-end coders and front-end coders, and coders who code the coding of coders. But an important thing to think about is basically how should your app look, right? What should the background color be? What should the fonts be? What size should the fonts be? Like, shadows and all of that kind of stuff. And so this is one of the questions that I'm going through right now with my nice little OpenCV app. So this is the app I've been working on for a couple of weeks. I took last week off because I had to get ready for the MySQL class that I taught this weekend. But basically I've been working on this because the problem that I've been dealing with is I've been using OpenCV. So OpenCV is a computer vision framework that is free, open source, that you can use. But one of the issues that I've had is I don't really understand what it's actually seeing. I can get it to react to images, but sometimes it reacts and sometimes it doesn't. It's a bit of a disaster, right? So anyways, so I created this little app, like I say, about 2 weeks ago. And what this allows me to do is it allows me to upload pictures to a Linux server that I have. OpenCV runs in the back end, basically scans through the images based off of the cascade filter that I've given it. It comes out with the coordinates, and then this web page is dynamically created for me to show me what is being seen in the picture, right? So with this, I use the frontal face cascade, and it can show me that that's a face, and it can show me that that's a face, and that's a face, and that's a face, and all these are faces, and so on and so forth. And it also shows me that that's a face. See, this is what I need to understand. So it detects that that's a face for some reason. So I need to figure out both false positives and false negatives. And so it just keeps going through here, yada yada. But you'll notice, oh my God, I gotta scan through all these, right? In order to get an idea of how OpenCV sees all these pictures, I have to actually scroll, because these pictures are actually being shown at the image size. So when I create the canvas, so in order to get this square, this what's called a boundary box. What's it called? A bounding box. There we go. In order to get a bounding box, you actually use JavaScript. So you use the canvas tag. So the canvas tag within HTML allows you to draw on top of it. So what you do is you use the canvas HTML tag, then you input the image, and then you draw the box on top. So these images are the actual size that I uploaded. But it's like, that kind of sucks because some of them are small, some of them are big, whole 9 yards. So what I did today is I created this to make all of the images a bit smaller, right? So basically I've made it so they're all 300 pixels wide. And then I'm just restricted to 300 pixels wide. So they're 300 pixels wide, and then whatever the percentage is of the width smaller, it then shrinks the height. So now, like we can see here, this is the big old picture of the drag queen that I have. That's the original size of the picture. And so we can see here, it's a lot smaller. So I can see the name, I can see the height and width, and I can see the coordinate. So this is X, Y, width, and height. And so I can see the coordinate. I can see the coordinate, I can see the coordinate, I can see the coordinate, I can see all the coordinates, right? And so this is just an easy way for me to scan through and just see what it's looking at. It's like, okay, that makes sense. Okay, that makes sense, right? Like it's not as big as it was before, but it's a lot easier to see. If I go up here, I don't know, let's do cat face. Let's do cat face extended and see how badly this goes. I'm gonna do cat face, and when it goes through and it scans for the cat faces, thank God it's a cat. Thank God it's saying cat face. I'm just saying, we're saying a different type of face. I'd be canceled right now. But again, this is what I want you to understand. Like that's the whole thing. Like with the whole jungle animal thing. Let's say when people in our society get mistaken for jungle animals and everybody loses their mind. One of the things I do want to show you here is that people are also getting mistaken for cats, right? But again, nobody loses their mind when you get mistaken for a cat, but otherwise. But it shows all this stuff. And it even shows the cat face. Like, look at this. I can just do this. You can see the cat face. And like the cat face, like you're like, oh, look, OpenCV detected the cat face. And you're like, no, it detected that. I don't even know what that means. It's like, what? I don't understand. And so again, I can upload files. So I put some new ones into downloads. And so, let me put you here. What I can do is just, select like 4 of these. And then I can upload. Then I can say what cascade I want. So again, let's do frontal face Alt-2 cascade. And then we can process pictures. And it's going to go through, and it's going to process pictures, and hopefully show us some new pictures here. I'm not sure why the images aren't always showing up when they're supposed to. Come on, you stupid thing. Refresh. Okay, well, that's weird. Okay, so we got the same images we had before. Okay, yeah, like face. That's interesting, right? So for this, it's actually detecting the face, but it's detecting the bunny face, right? Those are the problems that I need to be able to see. There we go. I don't know. I need to work my web server. My web server is wonky. Again, whenever you're building anything, you got all these different systems that all come together. My web server is wonky for whatever reason. So anyways, okay, so we see a face here. So that's a new image that I uploaded. These are the images that we had before. These are the new images that I uploaded. So we can see here. And again, we can get an idea of who's being detected. So all these people are being detected, but those aren't being detected for some reason. We can see here. So we can see these faces. So these faces are detected. No. And so we can try to figure out what's going on there. And so, yep, this is a little app. So it looks a lot better. Put a nice little bar here. I put a bar so now the images without objects are down here. And but one of the big things, again, like I say, with this whole design principle thing, is I'm not really sure what to do next. I design like a Linux administrator. I laugh at people who design like a Linux administrator because I design like a Linux administrator. So this is very functional. So this is functional. Does what I need to do. Gives me all the information, easy to use. It's responsive. So if I shrink it, it'll just auto shrink down, right? So it's responsive. But one of the things I want you to think about is like how horribly ugly this is. And that's the whole thing. Like that's what a designer would do, would figure out how to make this not a mess, right? So they're all the same width, but this is a smaller height and this is a taller one, right? So you create all these weird boxes. And then here, like I say, I want these coordinates to print out. I want to make sure I can see all the coordinates. But when I've got an absolute crap ton, when I've got a crap ton of faces in an image, then it gives me a crap ton of coordinates, and then that becomes really big. And so like that's one of the big questions with your app, is just because it's functional and useful, is it something a Linux administrator would create? That's the kind of thing you would think about. And so like this still is not a finished product by any stretch of the imagination. But for this is what you would think about, is like what you would do, or what coders would do, is you would build this, right? So you would build the front end, you would build the back end, you would build all that. And then essentially what would happen is then you would hand this over, and then the designer would take the CSS and they do some other things and they make this pretty. And that's the other big issue, like when you're going to be developing your app, is like how do you want it to function? Again, like I want all these coordinates here, but could these coordinates be at the side? But if the coordinates are at the side, that means it's going to be twice as big, so you're not going to get so many images per line. Do I want to have a click box where if I click, I see all the coordinates? But then again, then I'd have to click. That's a usability thing. Do I want that? Do I want to hover and then the coordinates would pop up? Right, that's a possibility. But then I'd have to hover, and then while I'm hovering, the coordinates are there. So then I have to unhover to see, right? You know what I'm saying? Like these are real. Don't tell the back end coders this, but these are real issues that you have to think about if you're going to be creating a project. So anyways, there you go. Here is my more useful, slightly less ugly or whatever OpenCV app that I've been building. And I continue on. I'm thinking, like, especially once I start doing the Lewis Rossman. So once I start using my own, these are all filters that are built in. So once I start using my own filters and images that I've collected, one of the things I'm thinking about is adding a little box down here, hyperlink down here, so I could click on false positive or false negative. So it's like if this was a false positive, maybe have a link and actually click on a link, and then that would copy the false positive into a negative folder. So then that could be an image that could be used for training the negative images the next time, right? Every time there's a false positive, dump that image into the negatives folder so that when we go through the training cycle again, that will be used for negative. Or down here, if it's a false negative, it didn't show up for some reason, something to click, throw that into the positive folder, and then go through and do all the coordinate things that OpenCV needs to in order to train it better so it understands what it's seeing. So those are some thoughts. So anyways, there you go. With that, see y'all later.